YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Over the years, I have covered predictive programming in movies and television shows, and it's a really good way to help wake people up to the fact that these events that occur are all staged and pre-planned events by your government that is used as a brainwashing and conditioning mechanism. They show you these things beforehand, and they desensitize the public to these events when they actually occur. What this does subconsciously is it reduces resistance, and it increases the likelihood that the public will accept these events when they actually occur. Perfect example to always use is obviously September 11th. There was so much predictive programming over the years that we saw with planes hitting the Pentagon, with planes hitting the Twin Towers, with even Bart Simpson and that famous photo of New York $9 with the Twin Towers behind it, 9/11 symbolism. Other examples are Contagion and a lot of these movies that predicted the outbreak that actually occurred. And then people might say, well, I mean, the likelihood of having a movie about an outbreak, is highly likely. Is it? Is it? There's tons of movies with predictive programming in regards to an outbreak, including the actual movie Outbreak. And I did mention with Charlie Kirk the fact that South Park had just done that episode on him a few weeks prior to his staged assassination, his character exiting the world stage. Now, that was not a coincidence because that was propped up. Charlie Kirk was propping it up. They were making a huge deal about it on Fox News, that, he should be honored that he's getting spoofed on South Park. And in fact, what he was doing in the episode was getting attacked while doing the same thing that supposedly got him shot. So tell me if this is a coincidence or not. A TV series on Hulu came out on September 10th, 2025. The show is called The Tempest, September 10th, 2025. Also, the same day that Charlie Kirk was supposedly assassinated. What's the plot, you say? Well, I'm going to play the trailer for you in a minute. But the plot is, quote, after her husband, a presidential candidate, is assassinated in front of her, Seo Munju tries to find the truth behind his death. She learns more than she bargained for, including conspiracies stretching all the way to the White House. As she uncovers more secrets, her life is put in danger. And in this trailer I'm about to play for you, there's a lot of things that match up with Charlie Kirk, including the presidential candidate, because there's this narrative that's been out there that they wanted to remind everybody of after Charlie Kirk exited the world stage, that Charlie Kirk would have been the president of the United States of America one day. The mainstream media kept using that talking point. Of course, what a coincidence that this plot revolves around a character who's preaching at a church who was a potential presidential candidate. And as you'll see right now, where does he get shot? He gets shot right in the neck.
당신은 누구인가요?
장준익 의원!
어째서 나에게 왔나요?
장준익 세공화당 의원이 총격을 당했다는
Our client wants you to be your bodyguard, but keep it a secret.
What does that mean?
Widow of a South Korean politician named Moon Ju-seo.
대중은 널 잔다르크로 알지? 남편을 지키기 위해 맨몸으로 총 앞에 선 여자.
이 남자를 조심하십시오.
over. 지금 뭐가 오고 있어요.
Because if things go wrong, it could escalate to World War III.
나를 포용하십시오.
무조건 명령에 따라줄 수 있겠어요?
What am I dealing with?
이건 네가 생각하는 것보다 훨씬 큰 판이야.
성문주를 얼마큼 믿으십니까?
We could be putting millions of lives at risk, sir.
이 모든 걸 움직이는 각본이 따로 있다면 내가 알아내요.
그 사람이 왜 사건 현장에 있었을까?
조금 긴 이야기가 될 거야.
나 백선우 씨 끝까지 믿지 않아요.
믿지 말아요. 그냥 내가 뒤에 있을게요. 언제나.
So there's a few things to take out of all of this. We'll start with as the shooter approaches the presidential candidate who gets assassinated. You can see the black and white checkerboard floors. It's in the trailer over and over and over again. This is a reference to Freemasonry, as above, so below. The black and white checkerboards are prominently featured in every Freemasonic lodge in the world. And if you're not familiar, this entire psyop that we saw with Charlie Kirk was coded with the number 33, the 33-hour manhunt. What else did we see? We saw the hats with the 47, how it was perfectly positioned. 11, 11, 11, 33. His wife, Erica, wearing that G ring, that Freemasonic ring that they want to tell you was for her daughter's first name. Huh? Yeah, because we all have rings of our children or a relative with the letter of their first name. And since that picture went viral, you may have noticed that she was now wearing another ring that had her other child, supposed child's, first initial on it as well, because, of course, they saw how many people picked up on that whole charade of her crying over Charlie Kirk's mannequin, where she had that G right on her ring. Now, what else did we notice? Well, we noticed, like I said earlier, that the supposed presidential candidate was shot where? He was shot right in his neck. And I'm sure that's a coincidence too. And then this woman becomes Joan of Arc to the public. She becomes this prominent figure in the series because her husband was assassinated in front of her and she wept over his body. Does that sound familiar? Well, let's start with Joan of Arc. For those of you that don't know, Joan of Arc was declared a martyr after her execution in 1431. She is known as a martyr in the church. And what a coincidence, I'm sure. Since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, all we've heard about is how Charlie Kirk is a martyr. We've even heard how Erica Kirk is a martyr as well. There's articles out there. Two patriot saints, Charlie Kirk and Joan of Arc. Was Charlie Kirk a martyr? Well, Erica Kirk, in her speech that she gave 2 days after supposedly seeing her husband get his neck blown off, she let everybody know that he was, in fact, a Christian martyr. And that's the narrative that they've been running with. Martyr this, martyr that. Is Charlie Kirk a Christian martyr? And we can all probably expect in the future that they will, in fact, name him a patron saint or a patriot saint, as they used in that article. That's how ridiculous this psyop has gotten. And then we have Erica Kirk, just like the character in that show, becoming this heroic figure, right? Taking over Turning Point USA. The speech that she gave that somehow these people ate right up, where she couldn't even muster a tear at her own memorial service for her husband, but people in the audience were actually crying. And she made sure to say that she forgives the shooter as she gets a standing ovation as they create this new character on the world stage that Erica Kirk is going to play. Don't worry about the fact that her mother works for the Department of Homeland Security and her father has direct connections to, well, let's just say the Mossad and the Israeli government, right? Then we got the sniper. And what do they say as the sniper gets in position? If things go wrong, it could escalate to World War III. Isn't that interesting? Because what we're seeing right now is everybody's looking to the Middle East to think that World War III might start in the Middle East. And of course, we all know Albert Pike's note and how this stuff is pre-planned. These wars are pre-planned. But we also know that there's a civil war going on in America. In fact, they recently made a movie about it, which I broke down in detail when it came out last year, Civil War, where the entire premise of the film is Republicans versus Democrats, even giving us this map of what the United States of America could potentially look like if divided through a civil war, right? Your Florida Alliance, your Second Republic of Texas, your Republic of California, your Western forces, your loyalist states, right? So isn't that interesting? Let's just recap. That's a 2-minute trailer in which the show, came out the same day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And the plot is that a presidential candidate who's speaking in a church gets shot in the throat. Of course, on those black and white Masonic checkerboard floors, which we saw everywhere with this narrative of Charlie Kirk. How many Freemasonic references have we seen, from the G ring to actually having us get told that it was a 33-hour manhunt, specifically him getting shot with the 322 for skull and bones as well, the time of his supposed death. And just like the character in the show, he was a potential presidential candidate. Now, he might not have been one today, but that's all we've heard about since the assassination. How Charlie Kirk was going to be president one day, that he had it in him. There was no doubt that he was going to be president of the United States. So that character gets shot in the neck. Charlie gets shot in the neck. And then part of the theme of the show is how the wife becomes the new Joan of Arc. And all we're hearing about is Joan of Arc and Christian martyrs like Charlie Kirk in the weeks that have followed, including Erica letting us know that her husband is, in fact, a martyr. And now the rise of Erica Kirk has begun, where she can do no wrong. How could you criticize Erica Kirk? Don't mind the bizarre behavior that she's showing us, because people grieve differently, right? Yeah, I didn't know people grieve without shedding a single tear when their 31-year-old husband gets shot in the throat in front of everybody's eyes, and then you see the effects of the trauma-based mind control, which makes this even easier for them to accomplish, because everybody thinks that they witnessed a public execution because they saw it on their phones, they saw it on the media, they saw the bullet go through the neck. They all are traumatized over it. But Erica, she seems to be doing okay. So we got predictive programming all over the place. And of course, we have predictive programming with this new series called The Tempest, which came out the exact day of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Coincidence? Doubtful. This is how they work, ladies and gentlemen. We've all covered this for years and years and years in the truth movement. Predictive programming is their calling card. This stuff constantly gets revealed to us. And then you see how the public responds. They get all into it. They're like, did you see The Simpsons? How does The Simpsons constantly predict this stuff? They predicted Donald Trump was going to be president. They had the 9/11 on the magazine cover. How did they predict it? They didn't predict it. It's called magic. They're spell casting on you, and they're conditioning the public into accepting these events as real, and of course getting no pushback whatsoever from the public, which is why I said the government came up with this fake news theory, right? Where they started labeling opposing news channels as fake news. Conservatives call CNN fake news because they hate it. Democrats call Fox News fake news, and they go back and forth. But what nobody realizes is that they created that term to put a wall up in front of you so you don't actually wake up to the fact that the news itself is scripted and carried out. That's what false flag government operations are, as well as psychological operations, which a lot of the times in these events, there are no actual victims. They use CGI. They use, obviously, artificial intelligence, where most people out there can't tell the difference if something's real or something's not. But that's the reality of the matter. Predictive programming is real, and here's just another coincidence I'm sure that people will reject. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.